Hello, get up. Welcome to the entertainment headquarters and welcome to the Retro Classic Movie Show. And this is my show on the channel where we talk all about movies from, say, the 70s up to the early 2000s. And joining me is my amazing co host, the master at the Metal Tavern Radio YouTube channel. He is just the bomb. He is my good friend. He is Mr. DJ Anubis.
Howdy, y'all. Yo
And
ho.
that's right, yo ho. And with this being the Retro Classic Movie Show and our show, month to month, I pick a movie, he picks a movie, and this month is my amazing friend's pick, and he chose the one and only Young Guns. So that up. So before we start talking about Young Guns, let's see who's in the chat, and it is Mr. Jake Hall. Hello, my friend. How you doing? So, Mr. DJ Anubis, what was your reasoning behind picking the Young Guns?
It'd been a while since I'd seen it. I'm a big fan of the Brat Pack films of the 80s, and this is one that we don't really talk about too much because, you and I, we've done our own like best Western films lists and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But this is one that doesn't get mentioned too much. But it's a lot of fun. I remember going to the theater seeing this. I was probably about 18 years old, and uh, just enjoying the shit out of it. I was like, I really loved it. It's fun. The actors are fantastic in this. A lot of them went on to have pretty good careers, so
Yeah.
it's just really fun. Great movie.
Yeah. As for me, I can't even remember when I first seen Young Guns. I've always known about Young Guns, and I've always known, people talk about it either positively or negatively, but it's always been there in the forefront when it comes to the category of Western movies. The things that have always stood out for me is a couple of performances, and one of them, of course, is of the lead, Emilio Estevez, and of course Kiefer Sutherland. I was first introduced to especially Kiefer Sutherland, like everybody knows, The Lost Boys.
Mm-hmm.
And seeing him in this, especially at the age he was way back in the day, I seen a different side of him as an actor. I got to see another side of him as an actor, because in my mind, he was always just David in The Lost Boys. But so let's get cracking and talk about Young Guns. So, Young Guns is a 1988 American Western action film directed and produced by Christopher Kane and written by John Fusco. The film dramatizes the actions of Billy the Kid and the regulators during the Lincoln Country War in New Mexico in 1877 and 78. It stars Emilio Estevez as Billy and Keith Sutherland, Lou Diamond Phillips, Charlie Sheen, David Mulroney, and Casey. I can't even say his second name. I don't know.
Semesco. Casey Semesco.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Casey Semesco. As the other Lincoln Country regulators, the supporting cast features Terence Stamp, Terry O'Quinn, Brian Keith, and Jack Palance. And I always remember Jack Palance from, of course, City Slickers.
Mm-hmm.
That was something. And Terry O'Quinn, the only other thing, I'll be honest, I've seen him in that is memorable is the show Lost. So that's your cast. And as you can see on this beautiful picture, this is your main cast of course, the Young Guns. And anybody that is familiar with Billy the Kid, he is, a Western legend. He has his own legacy, with many legendary Western faces. So, Mr. DJ Anubis, do you want to get us started with this beautiful movie?
Yeah, basically, we have a gentleman named John Turnstile who is a cattleman, and he's also like a very kind-hearted guy who takes in runaways and trouble boys, and kind of helps them build themselves lives as contributing to society in that time and that era. But he also teaches them how to read. He takes time out to do this stuff. So basically, he's currently, I think they're shopping or something in the main town, and Keither's character Doc Scurlock is with him, and Scurlock and Dick, played by Charlie Sheen, are like the two leaders of the pack, basically. But Doc's there with them shopping and stuff, and they hear some gunfire, and they see a young boy running through the town trying to avoid being captured by the sheriff and stuff. So turns out that's William Bonney, played by Estevez. And so they sneak him out of town and begin to show him the ropes of how to handle himself as being part of the regulators that are what the group calls themselves, working for Tunstall on his farm. And it's a little tensive at first. You've got, I love Dirty Steve Stevens, played by Maroney, and he and Lou Diamond Phillips, who is Chavez, don't like each other very much. And of course, Steve is like throwing out the, "You Navajo, dirty Navajo, you have sex with your horse, Navajo." And so there's just like a lot of like.
The only thing I was just going to say there is the one thing I like is I love the chemistry between them actors, and like how they thoroughly just go for it with the insults, and they don't hold back, and it's great to see these actors just letting loose and just hiring it all at each other during the movie.
Other thing is, I really like that they're all unique, so they all have their own thing. So like Charlie, played by Semesco, like he's more of like a physical fighter. He's okay gunman, but he's just, they call him the pugilist. So he's more of just a hands-on like fighter, scrappy dude. Chavez, being half Mexican, half Indian, is very good with knives. So he always shows that he can throw the knives. And then, Kiefer, his character, Scurlock, he's a bit more educated, level-headed. One thing you mentioned from Sutherland is that his role from Lost Boys to this is a big gap. Like, the growth. Like I never really appreciated until I watched it again this morning, just how great he is in this film. Like he's the best actor in this film.
Precisely.
And
that's exactly what I was going to say.
Mannerisms, the different emotion that he puts into it. It just started to kind of click for me. And I'm looking like, man, this guy really nailed this role very well.
Yeah, that's the thing for me. Like, as you know, when you are an actor, you are meant to be able to play things outside of yourself as an actor. So if you have seen many actors who literally can switch, it's like turning the switch on and they turn into somebody else. And when it came to this particular film, when it came to Kiefer Sutherland's particular character, like I said to you earlier, anybody that remembers him many years down the line, they're always going to remember him as David from the Lost Boys. Like, let's be honest, that's probably going to be his most iconic character. That and Jack Bauer from 24. Because obviously,
and also people surprisingly will probably remember more from also Flatliners, like he was in that film. So
I was going to mention Flatliners on top of that. So but the most famous one is probably Lost Boys, David. But this one is probably one of his most underrated performances, in my opinion,
Yes,
because
very much so.
he literally switched the switch and turned into this character, which was a total, took you away from the character of David in The Lost Boys. And I really actually, after watching this like yourself, I only watched this again earlier today. I really generally got more respect for Kiefer Sutherland because I seen his range as an actor more after watching this again.
Yeah, it's all over the place, and it's like that's what made it so impressive. That Neko says, "Is it method acting?" Well, yeah, I guess it could be because I don't know how much he put into this character because I don't even know if it's based on a real person or not. But the reality is, just watching them and the emotions like between, especially when they get to like the peyote scene, which is hilarious. Like he's a poet, so his mind when he's like fucked up is like, she's my butterfly, I'm her butterfly.
Mm-hmm.
But then you go
Yeah,
from like a trippy scene like that to where uh there's been a couple scenes, but the one where he's got like some blood on his face from the gunshot, I think it's after they kill McCloskey,
yeah.
and he sits back for a minute, or when he sits back and looks at Dick after Dick dies, he's like just sitting on his horse, and it's like you can just see the emotion turmoil inside his heart about what's going on, like where his life is going.
Yeah. I've just looked it up there as well. The character that Kiefer Sutherland plays, Joshua Gordon Doc Skullock, is an actual real person.
Okay.
And he
Oh,
was
Three
a.
Musketeers. Good point. Yep. He was great in
Yeah.
that too.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. He generally, who's DJ Neko, welcome. Yes. Actually, I've actually seen that.
You haven't seen it? It has Charlie Sheen, has Gabriel Byrne. No. Yeah, Gabriel Byrne. Maybe Charlie Sheen's not in that one. So it's
You know
Gabriel
what?
Byrne. No, it is Charlie Sheen, but it also has Oliver Platt. So they're full.
I don't think I've actually seen that.
It's
You know
good.
what I was thinking of? The Man in the Iron Mask with Leonardo DiCaprio. But
Maybe
then
that's the one that has Gabriel Byrne. Maybe that's the one that has Gabriel.
yeah, that's the one I was thinking of, but I don't actually think I've seen that one with Kiefer
It's
Sutherland.
around the same time, maybe a year or two before, I think.
Well, that's something we could check out.
But yeah, the Man with the Iron Mask is good too. That's a really good film.
Yeah, though, yeah. But like you say, Kiefer Sutherland you just see another side of him in this. And then obviously after we're introduced to the main cast that have now been taken in by Terence Stamp's character, who was this good-hearted I think he wasn't a doctor, he was a rancher, a British rancher who basically takes in where stray kind of lost young men who are trying to find a way in the world. And he basically trying to give them balance in their lives and all of that stuff. And as the plot progresses, he tries to educate them. He tries to make them civilized. What surprises him, though, about William Bonney, a.k.a. Billy the Kid, there's one particular scene where he's like, right, if you're not willing to read this newspaper article, you can pack your bag and go out on the seat. Straight away, he reads the paper with no hesitation. So straight away, you know that there's more behind this William that's been picked up. He's not just a runaway. He's not just somebody who's been left on the streets or abandoned or lost cause. He's he's educated.
Yeah, that's the funny thing about that early setup for the guys to get introduced to Bonnie. It's like they're at the dinner table, they're eating, and then Charlie and Steven start to kind of like bust a joke about William. And so then Dick's like, well, rumor has it you shot someone William, what was that about? He says they were hacking on me. And the two guys got really quiet, when he said that, because they
Yeah.
were hacking on him. And then, of course, when it came to the reading, Steve and them thought that Bonnie couldn't read. So they were already kind of like setting themselves up to laugh at him. But when he started reading, everyone's impressed. They're like, wow, this guy's a young, educated kid, despite the trouble that he's got in.
Yeah, for me, me personally, they were either impressed or they were intimidated, because obviously they like you see they were hawking on him earlier on, like trying to make fun of him, and they were like, look at you. But then basically he showed them up later on when he could speak, read the newspaper article, and they were like, oh shit, we either keep hawking at him and he's going to embarrass her, or we'll give this guy a chance. So that's what I basically seen out of that. And welcome, Ulvin. Hello, Ulvin. The Disney's Three Musketeers is that one.
That's the one, yeah.
Is that the Disney one?
Yeah.
The one you're talking about? Well, I generally don't think I've seen it.
It's good. It's fun. Has Chris O'Donnell, too.
So once that happens, Tunstall then starts having arguments with his neighbour, a rival rancher, which is called Lawrence Murphy, a well-connected Irishman in league with the corrupt house, which, as you know, as these kind of Western movies go, once you start messing somebody that's connected with like a wrong politician, or a dirty, sheriff, however you want to look at it, it never ends well.
Yeah.
And this leads to to some hostility, and it leads to clashes between them. And one of Murphy's higher hands, is it McCloskey?
Yep.
So he joins up with Doc in attempt, McCloskey joins up with them. And as it's progressing, they suddenly see, Keith Sutherland's character suddenly sees, one of the maid hands who he immediately just instantly falls in love with.
Yeah, it's a China girl that at the time he didn't know, but Murphy claims to be a guardian of her, but he asked her to dance at this New Year's Eve gathering at the campfire or whatever, and immediately taken with her. And then after a little bit, Murphy recognizes Doc as one of Tunstall's regulators. So he's like, if I had known that you were one of those guys over there, I wouldn't let you date with it or dance with this girl that I am looking over, which technically she's a slave. She's a house, basically a whore for him to please his guys over in his own ranch or whatever. So she was taken because the Asian people that owed Murphy money for his clothes didn't have it or something. So he took the daughter as payment, which is really so pisses you off. Makes me mad about that.
Yeah, and this basically is like a roller coaster ride, because once he realizes that he's a part of the regulators, or the gang that they've named the regulators, and basically he forbids her and him to get together, it starts this chain of events where now he starts, he suddenly says, like, if I knew you were a part of that gang, guess what? I wouldn't let you anywhere near her, and I wouldn't let you anywhere near my house. This starts a chain of events where then he now starts to, basically, he starts now laying the footprints down to, build a bad reputation about the regulators as like these outlaws and these criminals, which starts another chain of events that leads forward in the plot of the movie, where basically these guys have to basically fight for their lives.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you feel so far as it progresses, how it changes the plot of the movie?
Well, I like it. Obviously from New Year's Eve, like there's that moment where Murphy sends one of his guys to try to start a fight with Tunstall, like on purpose, like he's poking the bear.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, Charlie steps in, has a little fist fight, beats the guy up, and then that's the end of that. But as the next day comes, they're heading back to the Tunstall Ranch, and they see some fowl that was flying around. Go ahead.
Because, like, I was just going to say, obviously, after the events, like you say, of the New Year's Eve situation, bounty hunters start hunting them.
Well, I don't think those are the bounty hunters. I think that is the sheriff's guys and some of Murphy's guys. So they're all heading back. They're kind of drunk, but the boys go and start shooting at the birds. And while that's happening, this group of men on horses comes up behind Tunstall, shooting him dead. Like just, he was defenseless and just shot him. Then they were going to try to kill the kids as well. So the guys run off on their horses because it's, again, Doc being the rational ones. Like, there's just too many of them. We got to get out of here. So they have that whole like funeral procession. And then we are introduced to Alex, played by Terry O'Quinn, who's the lawyer for Tunstall. Yeah. That's Tunstall there. But we get introduced to Alex, and he's the lawyer. So he's basically trying to convince the justice to deputize the boys to go and serve warrants. Because nobody wants to really do it because Murphy's in a pretty big position of power, and Brady, the sheriff, is working with him. So it's a really kind of a lost cause for anyone to try to fight these guys. It's like a high level of corruption going on in the town. So Alex is like, just deputize them, let them go serve warrants. And basically the justice kind of hides. He does it within like a barn or something in the shadow. It's like, here you go. You want to go put these warrants out there? I'm not going to let anybody see me deputize you. So, here we go.
Going back to like Terrence Stamp's character, Tunstall, I had only up to this point, if I'm totally honest with you, ever seen him as Zod in Superman.
Yep. So I've seen him in other films, like smaller stuff, but Zod's the biggest.
Yeah. Like, I have seen him in other stuff, but I have to be honest, I loved his performance in this movie. Just like with Zod and just like with Kiefer Sutherland, seeing him go from Zod to this character showed me another amazing, like, look at him as an actor. I see other ranges, I seen something else in him as an actor that I hadn't seen before. And the same with Terry O'Quinn. I'd only seen him in a handful of things, and he's a brilliant role in this. And how his character ends in this movie, I was kind of pissed off because he literally does everything to help the boys and to basically showcase that these guys are not who they are or how they're being perceived to be, and what his ending of this movie really pissed me off.
Yeah. And that's probably the only thing that kind of, at the time, obviously, it didn't matter because we were just always in for, like, they had a Young Guns too. But they never really elaborate on Alex's death or what happened with his wife, because his wife got escorted out at the end, of course.
Yeah.
And but we don't get any closure with that, other than the fact that she was able to be a successful rancher herself. But that's the only thing we ever get. So I'm kind of hoping, I know you and I are going to talk about this later, that if they do the Young Guns 3, I hope it kind of takes it a little more serious and we kind of get down to the meat and bones of both films, because it'd be nice to kind of have some closure for some of that stuff back then that they didn't do. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'll be completely honest. I remember in another show. I don't know if you ever seen the show. Did you ever watch the show Deadwood?
Yes. Yep.
I absolutely adored that show. It only lasted, I think, 2 seasons or 3,
Timothy
and
Olyphant.
then they ended up ending it because of budget restraints, because then it was too expensive to keep the show going, and it ended on a cliffhanger. But then it was many years later that, because it was kept getting hired at HBO, well, why don't you, there's too many questions for Deadwood, why don't you just, do a 3rd series or a mini series? They ended up doing a television series that wrapped up all those loose endings from the previous shows, like the 1st and the 2nd season. And it wasn't completely, what I wanted, but I was satisfied because at least it tied up the loose endings that were left at one side. And I think because of the success of that, I think there's a lot of shows that's being brought back on movies that are realizing, right, if there's loose endings, we can tie them up in a TV special or, a movie, or since we had a legacy sequel. Because,
And just for those that are not familiar with Deadwood, if you think that Ian McShane was great in the John Wick films, you should see him in this series. He's fucking fabulous.
Yes. And put it this way, if it wasn't for John Wick, he wouldn't have got to John Wick. If it wasn't for Deadwood, he wouldn't have gotten to John Wick, because it was Deadwood that catapulted him into the limelight.
San Francisco cocksuckers.
Yes, yes, San Francisco cocksuckers. I've never been to San Francisco yet, so I might look them up.
Yeah, that's a great fucking series.
Yes, HBO do like some of the best series out there. Where were we up to the plot? Because I've lost track where we're.
Well, you were talking about Terrence Stamp being Tunstall and his portrayal of Tunstall, which is really great. And of course, we were talking about when Murphy's men and Brady's men shot him down. So basically, now the regulators are deputized to go serve warrants. And the first one they're going to go do is for Henry Hill, I think is the name. And this, of course, is where it starts, where Dick and William Bonney start butting heads, because Dick is actually the foreman of the group. Like, he's the guy that's kind of in charge of just keeping them focused and doing their work. But now that Tunstall's not around, Dick still takes on that like, right-hand man mold. But as they go to serve the warrant to Henry Hill, he sends in Bonnie, which is like almost a mistake right off the head. Like, yeah, he's like, William, go give him the warrant. And you can just see the smile on Bonnie's face, like, okay, sure. So he's waits for him in the bathroom, the outhouse or whatever the fuck you want to call it, and says, "Hey, Henry Hill," and the guy's like, "Yeah," and he turns around and shoots him and just kills him, just murders him. All of a sudden, all the other guys that were in the little bar there, or whatever the fuck that is, start piling out, trying to shoot, and a gunfight ensues. But it does lead to tensions, because now it's like Dick's like, we're supposed to just serve the warrant. We're supposed to arrest them, not kill them. But Bonnie is all about the final act. He's all about, and it's done throughout the entire film, where he's like, we need to finish what we started. You can't let Murphy get away with this. This is going to keep going if we don't stop it. But the other guys throughout the film are just kind of like, maybe it's just too much for us to handle. We can't, we'll end up dead if we keep doing this. But that's kind of where it starts with Henry Hill. It's like, that's where we start seeing the shift of power a little bit, where Dick is trying to keep the reins on, while his Bonnie's just a loose cannon that's gonna go and just do whatever he wants. Uh, I do like we sort of get to, because then you said before, now we've got bounty hunters that are coming after them, because once the word gets out that they're kind of just killing these guys and not arresting them, it now puts their heads on the chopping block. So you've got other law enforcement that is out there trying to hunt them down now, as well as the bounty hunters, and plus Murphy's guys. So they just got a lot of shit coming down on them. Hey, what's up, Sensei? Sensei, Red Spirit. What's up, buddy? Yeah. Young Guns is a great film. So the second one's not bad either. I really like that one too. But
I think I had only ever seen the first one, and because we're reviewing this one, I did watch the second one.
Oh, okay.
So, to be honest, I've always heard the name Young Guns. I never knew there was a sequel. I must have been hiding. I must have been hiding under a fucking rock. So then I finally found and actually watched the sequel today as well. I'll be honest, I think as much as I do like the sequel, I think I'm fond out of the first one.
Well, yeah, the first one's better, but you still had what I liked about the second one, again, we had another young person, Christian Slater, at the time, that was really big. He's playing Arkansas Dave, and then you got William Peterson, who went to do a lot of great stuff. He was in Manhunter, CSI, just a really good actor. So there was a lot of great stuff going on in that second film too. It's just it didn't hit quite like the first one did.
See, the only reason I checked out like this as well, and yes, it was your pick, I had to say this guy,
Lou Diamond Phillips.
Like, oh my God. I'm not gonna lie. Oof, I'm blushing. I ain't gonna lie, people.
Just so everyone knows, Young Guns is actually Kevin's favorite porn film.
Mm-hmm. Well, it is now. It is like he is like, oh yes. And when we have already mentioned it, that all talks of a third one. And if there's a third one, he better be in it.
Well, yeah, well, the funny thing is, like, and it's been a while since I've seen the second one, but I thought Chavez was dying or dead. Now, they don't really show him dead. They just show him kind of being shot up and all that, but it's possible for him to survive that. And, it's fine by me. Like, the more that they can save, the better, I guess.
Well, that's why I think he will make an appearance, because you don't want to. It's like that thing at the end of John Wick 4. Like, you see him on the steps, but is he dead?
Right.
And then they've announced John Wick 5. So the fact that you never seen his character pass in Young Guns 2, it was left open to interpretation. Did he die or did he survive?
Yeah, I think that at least as far as that's concerned, if you can continue to make the movies entertaining and people still go to them, then you can go as long as you want. Like, and I like Ballerina was fantastic. So I'm looking forward to the Donnie Yen film that they're going to do. Like, I'm really excited for that. So that whole franchise has a lot of world building they can work with. Like, it can do so many different things with it, which will be fun. But again, we talked about with the third film and this one that they're working on, because it's been so long, it would just be nice if they've kind of just treated it with a little more meat in there. So, like, it's not going to be your usual, action film like from the first one. Like, you'll have action in it, but I like to see some more like perspective on the other stuff from beforehand.
Yeah, it's like we mentioned with Deadwood, the movie. It's basically would like the third one to tie up the loose ends and to connect the dots from A to B to C. But But when it comes to this movie, I think we're at the point where, or like you said, they're now known as the regulators, are like deputies. But then they end up they realizes that the sheriff is corrupt.
Mm-hmm.
And when the sheriff's corrupt, they then, there's a bit of a scuffle and the sheriff is killed. And like we said before, events transpired which started, a hurricane. This now sets off an even bigger hurricane. Because now that the sheriff's dead, it now plants the seeds for everybody against them to go after them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I mean, you basically have, like after some of this goes on, especially after the first Henry Hill killing, they're being tracked by a couple of Murphy's guys. And so this is when they still have McCloskey. Now, when they capture these two guys, these trackers, and they basically, again, this is where the tension between Bonnie and Dick start hitting the head again. Dick's like, we're going to arrest you. We're taking you in. But Bonnie's like, nope, we're going to send him right to the grave. And this is where we find out that McCloskey might have been like a spy sent from Murphy, but he's the guy that came from Murphy's crew to join the regulators. And so Bonnie ends up killing him. And then I kind of like this point because Dick's about ready to lose his shit when that happens. Like he believes that McCloskey's one of them, but I like that Doc was like, nah, he was acting a little suspicious, Dick. He was acting weird. And so Dick's just like, okay, so we just killed another Murphy man. I was like, yeah, we did. That's it. It's really the end of it. But then we do get to, I guess it's supposed to be either just eating or it's almost like Thanksgiving, the way that I figured.
I was thinking that Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
I had that vibe where they're all sitting around the table and they're eating. It did give me vibes of like Thanksgiving or like, it sounds weird, a final supper.
Yeah.
Type scenario.
Yep. And so, Bonnie wants to eat, but Dick's giving prayer and they're kind of upset about it. But then Steve comes in. He's like, there's somebody coming. And it's a bounty hunter named Buckshot Roberts. And he's pretty good, I like Charlie's mentions, like he's killed more people than smallpox. Charlie's always the one that's like really worried about these big time bounty hunters that are on their ass. But this is where we lose one of our regulators in this scenario. Buckshot gets himself cornered into the outhouse as there's like a gunfight going on, and he shoots a couple. He shoots Chavez, he shoots Doc in the hand. So he's pretty good, but he's in the outhouse and the firing stops for a hot minute. And Dick goes, hey, Bonnie, how about you go kill him? Just go shred him. Like, I dare you. And then Bonnie tries to go, shoots the ground, and he has to go back and hide behind the wood pile. And Bonnie's like, yeah, fuck that. I'm not doing that. Nope. Finally, it's quiet and Dick starts walking up there, and sure enough, a gun points out one of the holes in there and shoots Dick dead, like Dick's gone. And everyone loses their shit because that's kind of like how the rest of them saw him as kind of like their foreman and leader. Yeah. And Bonnie's like, well, let's go, regulators. I got you. Let's go. We're just going to go now.
It's like when Dick died, it felt like that I had lost like somebody who like kept them together in a way.
Mm-hmm.
He was like the formula to the group, like the glue,
the sticky glue.
Yeah, like,
the swap.
Yeah, the sticky. The sticky glue that kept them together.
He caught on to that. He knows what I'm talking about.
I know all about. We're not even going there. I'm not going there. Don't even start. But see, Lucky, you're making me drink.
I'm making him drink. I'm making him drink.
I'm having another tip up because today, outside of doing this, me, my beautiful mother, Mama Kaiju, if nobody knows, my beautiful mother, where I treated her to a meal earlier today before I got back and watched this again. But we had a bottle of wine, so I had a glass left, and now I've tapped it up. So we are now like is this the part, the final part where Jack Plassey's character comes in with all of his men and there's like a shootout? Is this the final bit? Or am I way behind?
No. So
See,
like after they kill Brady, which you brought up, the sheriff, they go back into town. So the idea is there's a lot of back and forth where Chavez wants them to go west because he's trying to get them across to Mexico where they can kind of get away from the law. But Bonnie's been kind of leading them back to Lincoln because Lincoln, he's like, we're going to finish this. So either you're on board or you're not. Like, and so there's a couple of moments where Doc's just like, I really hate that guy. You know?
Yeah.
And of course, during this, even Doc has a couple of times approached the young girl, the China girl, because he really wants her. He wants to take her and get her away from there. And actually, he planned to take her that one night to run away together and leave Bonnie and them behind, but she stayed out of fear. So anyway, after they've killed the sheriff, that's when Bonnie is visited by Pat Garrett. And Garrett's like, there's a rumor that Murphy and them are going to go kill Alex and his wife in town. And so it's basically a trap, but no one really knows this. And so Bonnie and the crew, very close to Alex.
That was it. They were lured into the trap.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see. They were lured into the trap, and then the regulators end up doing a massive shootout, don't they? Which they survive. Which then, obviously, after they survive the shootout, see, I watched this earlier today, and then I watched the second one, and now I'm trying. Now the problem is because I've seen the first and the second one back to back, I'm blending them in together.
Yeah.
I keep on thinking of the plot of the second one, and now I'm going to add elements which is in the second one. That's
right. Yeah. So the idea is to kind of like get them to lure him in and get rid of everybody at once. Like they don't really like Alex either. They're trying to get rid of him as much as they can.
Get home safe, brother.
So they get there, and of course, Alex, he doesn't want to leave the house, but the wife is like, it's pretty dangerous here. We might need to consider this. But by the time they really start getting round up, some guys start showing up and blocking off the streets, a bunch of men. One of them is John Kinney, who's like a big time bounty hunter, very dangerous.
Oh, I like the John Kenny stuff.
Yeah.
Fucking amazing.
Yep. So they trap them in the house, and there's some banter that goes on. They're like, hey Bonnie, like, are you in there? And he's like, yeah. And he says, kiss my ass. He's like talking shit to them. I like the one part. He's like, I forget who the character is, but he's like, I see you got so and so with you, and he's like, yeah, we got a lot of guys out here. Then Bonnie stands up, shoots that guy in the head, and then like says, hey, guess what? He's not with you anymore.
Yeah. Now it's all coming back. Yeah. So they set this trap up. You've got this John Kinney, and they realize they were lured into this trap. And the regulators, they're just, like you see, the milk, the people, the US Marshals and all that, the army, let's just start ripping the piss out of them. And there's like this massive shootout.
Yeah. And I like, again, like when they're in the house, again, we have each regulator, each character is different. So Bonnie, he likes the adrenaline. He likes the hunt and being hunted. He loves that. He lives for that. Charlie, he'd gotten married in Mexico prior. He could have stayed, but didn't. He left, and so he's always kind of fearful, but he's also a very brave guy too. And then Doc, we get this moment where Murphy shows up, and the China girl runs away from the carriage and runs into the house to him. So now his concern is her and him. Like that's his future as he looks at it. Steven just kind of like there, he doesn't mind fighting. He's like just doing his thing. And then Chavez, he's always like kind of thinking one step ahead. He's always got his mind thinking of what to do next. Like he's the one that told him with the peyote, like where to lead in the spirit world and stuff. So he's always one guy, thinking ahead of what should be done next. So I really like that dynamic of the movie where each character has their own way to be themselves, their own individual person, how they perceive what's going on. There's even that moment where Doc's like, Billy, we're good, but we're not this good.
Yeah, and then things get intense when they start to set fire to the house. And when the fire gets set to the house, obviously that's where things start to get a little bit intense. Like you see, you've got the wife of, my mind's went blank, Terry O'Quinn's character, Alec.
Yeah.
She's, there, and they're trying to get her out. They're trying to get everybody out. And it sets this massive, amazing scene of, like, this intense scene among everybody. And Jack Plassey's character, I have to admit, I'd only ever seen him in City Slickers. Like, people always say he's an amazing actor.
Oh, he's great. Did you ever see? Because you're a vampire guy. Did you ever see him play Dracula?
No.
Wow, that's crazy.
I'm a prick because I haven't. Out of all the people that play Dracula, he's the one I've never seen yet. But
that's crazy.
I had only ever seen him in City Slickers, but in this, I think he's freaking phenomenal.
Well, wait, did you see Tango and Cash? Stallone and Kurt Russell.
Oh, yes, he's in that, isn't
he? Yeah, he's the lead bad guy in that one.
Yeah, this does not help.
What are you drinking? Wine?
No, I just have to be sure. It's San Diego cocktail.
Oh, the glass. Yeah, Missy's drinking her stuff too.
Like
it's almost like you two are twins. Yeah. So yeah, you're right. So they set the house on fire, and at this point, they're like, "Dude, Alex, you got to get your wife out of here. We don't want her to get hurt." So they send her out. Of course, by this time, the morning came and the cavalry showed up. The cavalry, and they're all working with Murphy and him. But they're supposedly trying to keep it respectable. But Murphy's like, "No, we're gonna bury these guys, and you're gonna help us." So she gets out there and she's safe, but everyone else is still inside the house. So the house is starting to burn, so they're throwing books out so that it kind of doesn't catch fire and it scorched them to death. I don't think he got wasted. I think that was sort of like the one thing about this film that I can appreciate is that not everybody lives.
What the heck? So see, we will put WTH. What the F? But Jake.
What the hell? What the hell?
Yeah. So Jake's
back in PC mode or PG mode. He's not doing the.
Well, not last night. He threatened to put John through a table with Bob Wire.
Dude, I'd pay to see that.
I said last night. I said Jake for the win. But anyway, get back to what you were saying.
So the wife's out. Alex's wife's out. They're throwing shit out that will burn too easy, so they don't want to go up and smoke. But Chavez sneaks out, and so Steven, who's always had this banter with him, is kind of pissed off about it. He's like, that little fucking guy skinned out to go fuck his horse. He talking shit. And then
Yes.
go ahead.
No, yes, I agree. Yeah, I
Yeah.
remember that. He goes,
So
go.
now they're all just going to try to get out of the house in the best way they can. So we see this big like storage box or chest come out of the window, and it rolls down to the front of the lawn. And out pops Bonnie, and he starts firing and gets a few people, good shots off. Steven and Charlie come out the side through one of the upstairs side doors, and Doc and the China girl come out to the front, I think. And at this point, we see Chavez, he went to get horses. So he's rushing behind them, getting the horses, and Steven's all happy to see him. But
yeah, he returns with the rescue horses, doesn't he? And Charlie and Kincaid shoot each other dead.
That's like one of my favorite scenes. John Kenny's shooting Charlie, and then Charlie gets like just like that nice slow shot. He's like pulling up the gun, and he's like, boom, it gets him right in the chest. And that's sort of like, it's sad to see that, Charlie passes away, which is on the left there, but he has like that his one claim to fame before he dies, that he killed like a big time bounty hunter in John Kenny, who he always feared. So it was kind of a nice moment for him, even though he didn't go home to his wife. But we also lose Steven, who ends up getting shot in the legs and then in the chest before he falls into the fucking mud puddle. The other guys kind of get shot in the arm or legs or whatever. Bonnie gets hit a little bit, but they get on the horses and they get out of town. We think it's kind of going to just end there. But then we get this final scene where Bonnie comes back on his horse and Lawrence Murphy is standing there. He's trying to get everyone to go chase these guys to get them. And as he looks down the road, there's Bonnie, and Bonnie's like, boom, right in the head, takes out Murphy. And then he says it's over. But then, of course, we get that scene you talked about where Alex comes out of the house. He's got the white flag, for fuck's sake, telling the guys to run. And then the cavalry uses their Gatling gun to mow him down. I'm like, you cheap bastards. Like, what the fuck?
I was so pissed.
Yeah.
I was so pissed when they did that. And then, obviously, that just pissed me right off. And then obviously after that, it gets to the point where his wife leaves and she bitch slaps. Is it Jack Pass's character?
When she came out, she was trying to convince the captain of the cavalry to stop the madness. Like, this is before the firefight even broke out. And so he told her, like, just go chill out or whatever. And of course, Murphy's like, hey, she might want to do something for you in the tent over there, like trying to make her sound like a whore. And so she slaps the captain, but he's like, just get her out of the way, And of course, the firefight takes place after that. But she does, after her husband's death, take over for him as far as like that. Then also takes over Tunstall's cattle ranch, became like the most successful female cattle ranch person or something at that point. At least that's what they say in the narration.
Because of the epilogue when they escape.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So obviously they all escape thanks to his huge sacrifice. Well, not a huge sacrifice. Yes, it is a sacrifice, but it was such a sad ending to his character. And but then there's an epilogue at the end of the movie because I think they did the epilogue because I don't think they ever planned a sequel.
Right.
So because they never had the sequel plan, they put this amazing epilogue that explained like the aftermath of the characters and what happened next. And I think that, the screen goes to black after that, but you just assumed that was it. But then little did we know they would do a Young Guns Part 2, like a sequel.
Yeah.
And here's a question I'm going to ask. would you have been satisfied if they hadn't have done the sequel?
Probably. I mean, there was no like I was happy. The sequel's a little interesting because of how it kind of gives Bonnie like he's really old. Like we see cars being driven in the early part of that film. So that kind of threw me off at first. I'm like, what are we doing here? But then it starts to make sense as they kind of regress back to his memories. But yeah, if they had not done the second one, I would have been fine. It would have been fine.
Mm-hmm.
No issues there.
Like, I'm starting to think, should we have done this into that? Know how we did the Karate Kid special 1 to 4. I'm starting to think, should we have done this as a special and did 1 to 2? But no, me, I would have passed out halfway through talking to the second one if I'm drinking this stuff. But I personally, and this is my opinion, prefer the first one to the second one. I think the first one I was quite satisfied. I did watch the second one. It's still a good movie, but it was a movie that, in my opinion, yes, it's good. It's a great follow-up, but it didn't have to happen. It's one of them unnecessary sequels that happen, but you still enjoy. That makes sense.
Yep. Well, again, it was like it's that whole mantra about when something's hot. Like you had all these young guys that would go on to have great careers. Young guns didn't really blow up things. I get it. I get it. Yes, I know you really love this guy. I get it. But the second film was basically just capitalizing on that because, again, we talk about how the second one brings in Christian Slater, who was like a young actor making a name for himself. So again, it was introducing another young Brat Pack type of guy. So it was just capitalizing on something that probably didn't need to be capitalized on. In fact, let me see here because it doesn't say what the budget was for the second one. I would assume around the same, but it made about the same amount of money as the first. So that's why. It's just for money.
So the first movie, let's see, the first movie was made on 11 million and it made 56 million. Young Guns 2 was made, it made 59 million, the sequel.
Right.
So you know, it only, it didn't make much more than the first one. So, but I think because of the popular, but I don't know if it was through if the film, had the first movie, if it built a cult following or was as popular enough to, warrant a sequel, or was it the fact that they were capitalizing on the fact that the actors at the time were still very much in the eyes of the audience and popular, like the young upcoming actor. So they thought, guess what, we'll do a sequel. Now, many years later, there's talks of a third movie. Emilio Estevez is in active, he's very much promoting he wants to do a third movie, which if anyone's seen the ending of the second movie, Keith Sutherland, I doubt he'll be in the sequel. The rest of
here's an interesting thing about this film, though. So the guy that plays Pat Garrett in the first one, Patrick Wayne, his dad's John Wayne.
Oh,
yeah, that's kind of cool.
That is very cool. That's really cool, actually. Yes. But what do you think we need a third film?
Well, do we need it? No.
Do we want it?
But like I said, if I think of it in terms of like Blade Runner and Blade Runner 2049, if they do it like that, where it actually makes sense, it wraps up the story, it's still kind of deep and thought-provoking, I like it. If they're just going to do another, like, let's say they just come in and say, okay, Billy's going to just teach these young guys to be young gunfighters, and it's going to be another action thing that they're going to try to capitalize on from there with more films. No, like that. I don't want that. I want something that's just going to wrap up the entire franchise, make it make sense, go back and revisit some of the loose ends that we had from the first one and just have fun with it, but make it nice and cool. It doesn't have to be corny like those first two were all part of that time period where action films were kind of corny, like the Schwarzenegger films, the Stallone films. They were just kind of your
the sound
basic
score as
action
well.
film.
The sound score in the movies was for
Yeah.
that time. I actually quite, even though it's quite, I do like the music of the movies. I do like the score of the movies. You can tell it's like the 80s sound or the early 90s sound. I very much agree with what you're saying. We've mentioned it earlier, Deadwood. Like, they made Deadwood a television movie. It wasn't great by any chance, but it wasn't bad either. It was simply there to wrap up the loose endings of stories that weren't, wrapped up in this end of the final series. And it was a satisfying film. And it was made for television, so that's why I probably am fond of it, because they didn't push it in your face as this big. Now, if this, for example, they released the Deadwood movie in cinemas, I know for a fact it would have flopped.
Yeah,
because it wasn't made for cinema; it was made for television.
And if you hadn't watched the series, you would have no idea what the fuck's going on.
Yes, where you've got films that are made for streaming that they push for television, push for cinema. Sorry. So, for example, I did a review for Mickey 17. It's not a bad movie, but for me, you look at the budget, you look how it is. For me, that was made for streaming, not for big budget cinema. It was made for streaming. Now, I would be quite satisfied if, like Deadwood, they did a third movie that was exclusive for streaming. I can't see them doing it for cinema. And if they do it for cinema, I guarantee you, a part of me thinks it's going to be lampooned as one of them films that shouldn't have been made, that should have went to streaming.
Right.
If you look at Beverly Hills Cop 4 exclusive to Netflix, it fits Netflix. It's a great movie that deserves to be on Netflix. It's not. I say it's a great movie in terms of it's fun, but it's not something I would have went to see in theaters. But to sit in your own house, in your own comfort of your own home, to watch on a screen with a light off, with a bucket of popcorn, or a takeaway, I would enjoy Beverly Hills Cop 4. I wouldn't have enjoyed it if I stuck for like 2 hours in the theater. So I think that's what I would do with Young Guns 3. I would make it exclusive to theaters, streaming.
Yeah.
I just don't think it's got the popularity enough or the fan base enough, even though it's a good movie.
Well, that's the thing, right? So, because I was a little surprised that Blade Runner 2049 didn't do that well in theaters. I was really shocked. But I think because of that separation, it's why. Because there's a generational gap there. For us who are familiar with Blade Runner, we went to see that stuff. Just like Young Guns, we're familiar with that stuff, but most people aren't. So that's the thing. I don't know how they're gonna try to promote it when they put it in theaters if they do, but they do take that risk when there's not anybody that's familiar with those films. They'll be like, well, Young Guns, but what's it about? Like, and if they say Young Guns 3, it's like, well, what the fuck? Where's the other two?
Yeah. Where, of course, I think when it comes to Blade Runner, because the thing is, you and I can look at Blade Runner and go, cult classic. Somebody who was born in Millennium era, like 2000, is it a cult classic to them? No, probably not, because yes, your dad and your granddad it makes us sound really fucking old, but at the end of the day, it's the truth. Your dad and your granddad might talk about Blade Runner, but if your friends aren't talking about this amazing classic that they call a cult classic, they're not going to talk about it. Where we, because we do look at it as a cult classic, we're like, yes, I can't wait to see what they do with the sequel. It's the same with the Tron. I never thought, after I seen the second Tron movie and wasn't impressed, I'm really surprised that we're getting Tron Ares, the
That
third
looks
one.
good though.
Yeah, the thing is, I haven't done a trailer reaction to it because when me, Walter, and Sentry were sitting in the theatre, it was the exclusive reveal of it in front of Jurassic World Rebirth.
Yeah,
So I got to see it on the big screen, and very much like you, I was like, oh, holy fuck, this looks great.
yeah,
But
yeah.
there we go.
Yep.
So with
So
all that said,
here's something interesting, just real
yeah,
quick.
yeah.
So there was somebody that auditioned for the role of Dick before Charlie Sheen took it, but they turned it down. You want to know who that was?
I'll go on and presses.
Patrick Swayze.
Ooh.
I knew I'd get a reaction over there. He apparently turned it down because he'd already done a few movies that had like the Brat Pack thing, like The Outsiders and stuff like that. So he didn't want to do another one like that. But I can see him doing the role of Dick. That would have been pretty good.
Mm-hmm. Patrick Swayze with it being a dick. I
Yep.
could definitely see that. But that's interesting. Patrick Swayze is dick. But the thing is, like, most of these actors that turn down roles, they get another actor, and that actor becomes the role, becomes the character. And Charlie Sheen did a pretty good job. So, with all this said, my good friend, Mr. DJ Anubis, my co-host, your final thoughts and how would you rate Young Guns?
Final thoughts is still a really great movie, great cast. We talked about with Keither. This actually kind of gave me a lot more appreciation for his acting ability because I did notice things that I didn't really notice before. It's a great plot. Movie runs very fluently, like very smooth. No dragging, no nothing. It just gets right to the point, but you still get all the important scenes that you need out of it. Still a 10 out of 10 for me. I still love it so much.
As I said before, with me, I watched the first one and then I watched the sequel back to back. Hence why I got muddled while talking about this movie as well as this. Doesn't help. But at least I'm very honest. But I got the two. But when I look back at the first one, what I really appreciate is I liked the plot. I love Emilio Estevez. I think he's perfect as Billy the Kid. Like his attitude, how he portrays the roles, fantastic. Keith Sutherland, Jack Palance, I think he's amazing in it. Like you see, I do really enjoy the characters. The whole cast are suited for every role. Obviously, the other thing I appreciate about this movie, it's no questions asked. This is what I would tune back in for. Me secret boyfriend. I'm not gonna. I'm not gonna turn that down. How I be fucking crazy.
Would be crazy.
But in all seriousness, it's just a fun movie. I love the plot. I love the characters. I love the performances. And like I mentioned earlier, outside of David and the Lost Boys, I really have gained a massive more appreciation for Keith Sutherland and his range as an actor because of this particular movie. And because it's a fun movie, I'm going to give this an 8 out of 10. The second one, if I were to do one of them, I'm going to be honest, I'll probably give that one below. I'll give it a 7 out of 10. Because
Makes
I
sense.
think the first one trumps the second one.
Yep.
But this has been a good pick. I've really enjoyed this. I've liked exploring 2 movies back to back. Thank you for joining me as always, my amazing co-host, my amazing friend. Now, our next pick is going to be a movie that I know you enjoy. Oh, Sister Sarah's arrived. Hello, my friend. We are soon to be wrapping up. We've not long concluded doing our review of this movie, but we're just about to talk about what's coming up on the channel next and on the Metal Tavern Radio channel. So my next pick on the Retro Classic Movie Show is Leon the Professional.
Ooh.
Which I know you enjoy. Well, that is a film that really got me into Gary Oldman.
Great actor.
I adore him in Bram Stoker's Dracula, but this is the movie that made me just, no matter what he does, I'm going to watch. So, what is coming up, my friend, on?
Well, I still gotta fill out some of my stuff for next week, but the immediate stuff that's coming, Silver Screen Savants later tonight with Olvin on his channel. We have Pirates of the Caribbean, Curse of the Black Pearl review that we're doing for his pick this week. Going into next week, my Ghouls of Midnight pick, I'm sticking with Charlie Sheen, The Wraith. We're covering that one on my pick for Ghouls of Midnight.
I like that. I like
then
that.
Friday, you and I are gathering for the Cinematic Synergy to do your pick, Screamers. And then that Saturday, the next Silver Screen Savants pick, I'm choosing Jean-Claude Van Damme's Lionheart. So those are what's immediately coming up.
Lionheart, yeah. And this is just a question. Was that inspired by the spoof trailer by Johnny Cage by any chance?
If it was probably indirect. But that'd be funny, right?
Because if you've seen the spoof trailer for Mortal Kombat, it is directly linked to that.
Yep.
Which I didn't do a reaction to it, but I did find it funny. As for me, my friend, and everyone who's viewing, coming up on the entertainment headquarters on Monday, you, me, and the rest of our horror fan friends are going to be gathering for the second part of Into the Darkness, Texas Chainsaw Massacre Part 2 review, where we're going to be reviewing the second half of the films within that franchise. And on the 25th, which is the same day you're doing your, we are doing Scanners. Later that night, I am going to be doing the next classic Kaiju Connections movie review, and it's going to be The Last Dinosaur.
Dinosaur.
Yes. After that, I've got nothing else planned other than maybe the Fantastic Four First Steps review. Leading into August, the only thing I can tell you that will be coming is the Lethal Weapons special. And leading into September, we have the Akira Kurosawa special. And I also have coming with That Fat Samurai Guy and hopefully my good friend Mr. DJ Anubis. The three of us are going to be hooking up to do a review of 11 Rebels. And what can I tell you? We're heading into October.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
and you're just going to have to wait and see what the entertainment headquarters has in store for the month of Halloween. But until next time, my friends, this has been the entertainment headquarters. This has been me and my beautiful, amazing co-host,
K-host.
Mr. DJ Anubis of the Metal Tavern Radio. Keep on loving your movies. Keep on loving all things entertainment. And we'll catch us all at the next one.